Alright, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a special fight preview. So we're going all the way to Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates for UFC Fight Night, Holm versus Aldana. We're going to the main event in the Bantamweight division. Holly, the preacher's daughter Holm, coming in 13-5, taking on Irene Aldana, coming in at 12-5. And taking a quick look at the stats here. Holm is been alternating wins and losses lately. Her last two most recent fights, she suffered a loss to Amanda Nunes in a title bid, and then most recently picked up a unanimous decision win over Raquel Pennington in a rematch, where she had previously beaten Pennington by a split decision. Aldana's riding a two-fight run into this fight, picking up a decision over Vanessa Mello, and then most recently knocking out Ketlin Vieira 9 months ago. Let's see. The American is the elder fighter by 6 years, 38 for Holm to Aldana's 32 years. Aldana is 1 inch taller, 5 feet 9 inches, 175 centimeters to Holm's 5 feet 8 inches, 173 centimeters. However, the reach is reversed, with Holm being ahead by 1 inch, 69 inches to 175 centimeters to Aldana's 68.5 inches, 174 centimeters, according to Tapology. So let's take a look at these two fighters. One of the things that makes this fight exciting is that they are both primarily from a boxing background. It reminds me a lot of when Aldana's training partner Alexa Grasso faced off against Kim Ji-yeon. Very much a fight to look forward to, and same with this one because of that primary boxing background. They're both punchers. Holm more on volume. Aldana likes to play a little bit of cat and mouse and take advantage of her opponent's mistakes, draw them into making mistakes, and has a little bit more power than Holm does with her punches. Now when it comes to footwork, both rely heavily on their footwork to do what they need to do, but it's to different ends. You have Holm, who prefers to stay on the move. Always, on the move, always moving, never still for more than a couple seconds. And she strikes with volume at range. She'll use her footwork, sometimes to maneuver an opponent's particularly into landing her kicks with her left kick. Now, Aldana, on the other hand, she likes to use her footwork and combined with her striking to force her opponents to miss shots so that Aldana can then capitalize them and land some counters, or just outwork her opponents on the feet to outstrike them. Back to the boxing for a second. I would say that out of the two of them, when you really watch them, Aldana is the better technical boxer. Holm mostly just relies on spamming punches from a distance, and she's known for punching the air a lot. So when it comes to the technical boxing, got to go with Aldana. Now for strength and clinch, both are very strong. They have really good upper body strength. You look at both of them, they both have broad shoulders, they both have strong arms. Both known for having, strong upper bodies. Unlike a lot of women who most of their strength is, down low, these ladies are somewhat, slender, they're statuesque. They have a lot of upper body strength. And it transfers into the clinch as well. Now, Holm prefers the clinch a lot more than Aldana does, because Holm likes to grab onto her opponents and shut them down if she's getting outstruck. Very much, which again goes back to her boxing background. That's what boxers do. If they're getting outstruck, they'll clinch up to their opponent, basically forcing the referee to break the action up. Now for their ground games, both generally avoid the ground game, and I don't look to this fight to go to the ground too often, if at all. Holm will use clinch takedowns if she's getting outstruck. Usually only against opponents, though, with inferior ground games. She's not going to take too many opponents down if she thinks they have a better ground game, or if she thinks that they have the sub threat. She learned that against Valentina Shevchenko when she took Shevchenko down, and Shevchenko was able to sweep her. Holm basically likes to, if she takes him down, she holds him there. Now Aldana, she has a strangely underrated ground game. She, has proven herself able to take advantage of opponents' mistakes and openings. Most recently, reminds me of when she fought Betch Correia. Correia tried to take her down, even though she was like ahead on scorecards. Correia tried to take her down, and Aldana was able to stuff the takedown, maneuver herself on top of her, and grab that armbar and go belly down with it. So, Aldana's ground game, don't underestimate it. Now, talking about this as being a main event 5-round fight, you gotta talk about cardio. We all know that Holm has cardio for days and is more than willing to drag this fight into deep waters. It basically plays into her point fighting style. Now, Aldana, you don't really see her get tired in fights. However, this is only going to be the second scheduled 5-round fight of her career. The last time she was scheduled to fight in a 5-round fight was against Tanya Evinger in 2015 at Invicta, and she lost by TKO. She had the flu or something going into that fight, but it was the only time where she could have gone 5 rounds. Other than that, she's always fought 3-round fights. So you got to kind of give that advantage to Holm, being that not only does she have that experience, but her style of fighting plays much better into 5 rounds because she can just keep a steady pace the entire fight and go take it all 5. Now finally, I want to talk about quality of opposition. Again, this one is undoubtedly in Holm's favor. Holm has fought, really her last multiple fights have been against really either former champs or former title challengers, okay? Betch Correia, everyone likes to crap on her. This fight was 3 years ago, but Betch was still a former title challenger. Then she went up and fought Cyborg at featherweight, not even her weight class, and fought Cyborg and took her to a decision. Okay, Megan Anderson, no, I'll give you that one. That wasn't a hard fight. But then she took on Amanda Nunes. And then most recently, Raquel Pennington, a former title challenger herself. And Holm is a former champion. So, people give Holm a lot of crap because of her a lot of recent losses. But she's only fighting top opposition. Compared to Aldana, who most of her wins are against the likes of, Vanessa Mello, Betch herself, Lucia Pudilova, who was only a split decision. And then she lost to Raquel Pennington, so who Holm has beaten. So strength of schedule, quality of opposition, you got to give it to Holm. And remember, Holm has that loss to Pennington, Aldana has that loss to Pennington, who Holm has beaten twice. Now both do share a win over Betch Correia. They do have that in common. But like I said, quality of opposition, you got to have it favor Holm. Now for keys to victory in this fight. For Holm, she's got to stick and move. Stick and move, stick and move. Stay out at range, land strikes, and use her kicks to maintain the range. She likes to get sideways with her kicks, likes to throw a lot of kicks to the thigh and the knee, that oblique kick. She likes to use her kicks to maintain range more than anything. So use the kicks to maintain range. Avoid the pocket except to clinch. And only clinch if you're getting outstruck. And then in which case she wants to clinch to either hold, clinch against the fence, or, wall install, or use the clinch to get her takedowns and totally disrupt Aldana's momentum. Now for Aldana, she needs to cut off the cage. Use her footwork, cut off the cage. Outmaneuver Holm. Attack the lead leg, and then create openings to land on the inside. So use her footwork, use her striking to create those openings like she did against Ketlin Vieira. She got that opening for that left hook because she was cutting off the cage well. And basically created that opening off of Vieira's strikes. Basically took advantage of that opening. Very nice, and that's basically what she needs to do here. And work to land on the inside. Okay, so time for prediction. Now, before I get to prediction, I want to bring up something. A lot of people are saying, they're really sick of Holly Holm. They're just sick of seeing her. If you don't like her style because, she's the ish point fighter, okay, fine. I understand that. But I see a lot of people just complain about, why is she still ranked so high when she's taken a lot of recent losses? And they're sick of seeing her ranked so high, blah, blah, blah. To me, that's just like kind of silly because you want to take someone's ranking, you got to beat them. She's ranked high because she only loses to top-ranked opponents, or she's fought outside the division. I mean, she did take those 3 straight losses. To Miesha Tate, she lost the belt. Valentina Shevchenko, which I don't know anyone that would hold that against her, lost to Darren Dami up at featherweight, lost to Cyborg, lost to Amanda Nunes. Okay, so that is all 5 of those fighters, outside of Miesha, who was then the champ, or then became the champ. But look at those 4. Those are 4 top-flight, top-ranked fighters. She's not losing to anybody really ranked below her. That's why Holm stays on top, because nobody ranked below her has been able, to beat her. Until somebody can beat her, guess what? She's not going anywhere. So stop being silly with that kind of attitude. That's just my opinion anyway. Aldana has that chance, though. If Aldana can beat her, she has a chance to unseat Holm from, those top 2 or 3 positions in the division. Big question is, can she do it? Honestly, I have my doubts. And that's why I'm going with Holly Holm to win. For Aldana to win, she has to fight exactly to her right game plan, outgame Holm, and do it in order to convince 3 different judges with 3 different viewpoints to give her at least 3 rounds in any order. That's going to be very hard against someone like Holly Holm, who is a very consistent fighter, who has basically mastered her style of fighting, and who comes from a camp that is a master at game planning and a master at drowning other fighters. I mean, Jackson Wink fighters, you look at Holly Holm, you look at John Jones. They're, they're basically masters at getting fighters to play their games. And then they're better at it than they are. So, do I think Aldana can beat Holm? Yes, I do. Do I think it's most likely to happen? I just don't see it. Unfortunately, as an Aldana fan, I haven't really seen Holm losing a step in her last however many fights that shows me that Aldana is going to be able to put everything together right, outmaneuver Holm for at least 3 rounds in all 3 judges' eyes. Or at least 2, but all 3. Now, can Aldana finish Holm? I don't believe so. I mean, she's really not a finisher. I mean, she has the finish over Betch and the finish over Vieira, but I think those are her only finishes in the UFC. Let me see. Yeah, those were her first 2 finishes. The finish against Betch Gohea in 2019 was her first finish since 2016 against Faith McMahon. So Aldana doesn't have the finishes against high-level opponents. So I really don't see her finishing Holm. So that's why I got to go with Holly Holm. She is just a way more consistent fighter, the more experienced fighter. I mean, not just in MMA, but coming from that boxing background as well. Yeah, I just got to go with Holm. As an Aldana fan, I got to put my bias for her aside and Got to make my pick based on what I've seen from them in their fights, and I got to go with Holly Holm, unfortunately, because I want to see Aldana win. I want to see her challenge for the title. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the fight. Let me know yours in the comments down below. If you like the video, please give it a like and share it as well. That's how the word gets around. Now, if you're going to be watching the fights this weekend, I will be live tweeting on Twitter at NowWMMA. That's at NOWWMMA. While you're at it, subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.